And get started.
Great.
Well, welcome to everyone to this very special 10th episode of the Sports Talk 757. And I'm your host, Claudel Clark, Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Sports Commission. The Sports Commission a few months back created Sports Talk 757 to continue to expose sports in the region during this toughest of times. But we've had great guests from all over the region in all sports. Today we have a sport very near and dear to me, the game of golf. And with us, we have Adam Relan, head PGA Pro at Bide-A-Wee Golf Course in Portsmouth, and Brinsin Paolini, from Virginia Beach, originally from Cox High School, aspiring PGA player. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Good. Please pronounce your last name again for me. I've had it for the last hour and I mispronounced it.
Paolini. It's a very confusing one, so you did a good job.
All right, not a problem at all. But again, this 10th episode we're very excited about, and so excited about it. I'm getting my gear right here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Adam says get the right technology. It's going to help you out. So
Good
we're ready to rock and roll. But Adam, just great to have you. Brinsin, great to have you here. Just had some great topics to discussion. And again, anybody who knows me, love the game of golf. Not so great about it, but a very special episode. Brinsin, just tell us, how'd you get started with the game, and what made you choose golf, and how have you gotten to this point?
So I actually grew up in Boise, Idaho, believe it or not, and I moved here to the beach when I was 12. And so I started playing because my dad played, and my sister got into it, and we both loved it. And we were living in a small town, and next thing you knew, once a month we would travel and play a junior tournament somewhere outside of Boise just to kind of see other areas, and we both just took a liking to it. And then my dad changed jobs. We moved here to the beach, and we both just kept going with it. She went on to play in college, and I did as well. And it's just been a really fun journey.
What courses have you played, or do you play, to kind of keep your game sharp? And what courses do you kind of play, coming up to, sharpen your game and get to where you are now?
So when we moved here to the beach, we joined Princess Anne Country Club here at the oceanfront. And so I played there a lot growing up. And then when I was at Cox High School, we played all the city golf courses. Bide-A-Wee, we played quite a bit, where Adam's the pro, wonderful golf course. And it's just a great area for golf. A lot of really fun, tough, challenging courses that just teach you how to play golf. Two of my favorites are over on the Eastern Shore, Bay Creek. They're wonderful courses, kind of a trek sometimes, but I love going over there growing up, and it's just been a really nice area. I've really enjoyed growing up here in Hampton Roads.
Okay. Obviously you moved on from college now, Duke University graduate. I had a sister come out of Duke, so we're very familiar with the Blue Devils. Yeah. But at Duke, obviously had a number of accolades and played some great quality golf. How was that for you? And then how was that translated and helped you to progress to pro golf?
But my time in college was amazing. It was just so much fun to be a part of a team and an individual sport, and I still miss that a little bit now. But it was great. Really, really enjoyed it, and it did prepare me. But I will say professional golf is much different than college golf. In college golf, you got a coach that's planning everything for you. They're paying for everything, and you're just having to basically manage your time well. You only have small periods of windows to get a lot done, and then all of a sudden you turn pro and you have the whole day, and everything's on you to plan and fund. And so it's certainly challenging. And for me, I actually felt like in college I was very efficient because, okay, I'm at the golf course, I have 3 hours to get things done. And then you turn pro, and it's easy to fall into the trap of I need to be at the golf course for 8 to 10 hours a day. So that's been certainly something I look back on, and now I try to be as efficient as I can and almost practice like I did when I was back in school.
Claudel, let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
So, Brinsin, can you tell me what a typical practice day away from a tour event?
Yeah.
So at home at Princess Anne. Yeah.
Yeah, Princess Anne. So I would get up, I'll work out first thing in the morning, typically an hour. What I do depends on whether it's in the season or out of the season. Right now we're not in season, so trying to get a little bit stronger. I have a hard time gaining weight and strength, but I'm doing my best. So I'll do that for an hour, and then I typically go practice for 2.5 to 3 hours, try to segment it out to where I'm doing each area of the game, same amount of time. Then I'll have lunch, and then I'll play 18 try to get into a game. I play with the members or with some of the pros. And then if there's sunlight left, I'll try and go practice what I didn't do particularly well that day.
Is there an area right now that you feel, what do you feel like your strongest suit is as a player? And then where do you feel like you really struggle, or you're trying to put a lot of work in to get better?
For sure. Strength has always been driving accuracy. I'm not overly long, but I drive it very straight. So that's definitely my strength. My iron play is definitely something that can continue to get better. It's made great strides in the last year or two, and it's helped a lot, but that's, for me, very important. I'm not the longest of hitters, so I need to hit my 7-iron as close as some of the longer hitters are hitting their wedges or their 9-iron. So that's basically what the game's all about. And then short game, obviously, is something that needs to be really sharp for me. And typically, I wouldn't say it's one of my strengths. Putting and driving are definitely my strengths. So short game is something that I definitely want to focus on as well.
Great.
Good. Also see a lot of international tournaments on your resume. How did you get started there? Was it an agent or some sort of agency, or how did you get from here to the numerous countries that you played in? How did that process start?
Yeah, so growing up, I always would watch the European Tour and the Golf Channel. Thought, man, that's super cool. Like, I'd love to play in those places. And then when I was getting ready to turn pro, I've never had an agent. I've always done it myself. And I had a couple of friends back then, Peter Uihlein and Brooks Koepka, who started their careers in Europe. And I was like, man, that's super cool. And so I reached out to some tournament directors on the Challenge Tour, which is like their AAA ball, and got some exemptions, and was fortunate to play well in those and kind of get myself going on the tours over there. And it was great. I'm super blessed to have been able to travel while I was also pursuing my dream.
So I expect that's been very rewarding for you. Tell us about some of the places that you played in the European Tour, and then some of the people that you met. You talked about Koepka, and we've seen Els, and a number of these guys who are really European and have played in the United States. But tell us about some of those experiences.
For sure. So the European Tour, the name's a bit misleading. It's more of a world tour. I mean, they play
right.
all over the place. I mean,
Asian Tour,
Asia, Africa, Middle East. I mean, you name it. So was certainly fortunate to go all kinds of places. I think I've played a tournament in over 44 countries now. So I've been a lot of places, but I'm certainly very grateful for what that showed me. I was able to see a lot of different other cultures and learn about them, but also learn about myself and put myself in difficult situations and see if I can handle it. And, but more than anything, it's just the people that I met, lasting relationships with people from all over the world. And, those are memories I'll cherish for a very long time. And, it just led to some cool things, funny stories, and just a lot of great memories.
Gotcha. Well, how does the European Tour kind of differ from the PGA Tour, or is it more difficult or less challenging? What are some of the similarities and differences?
Yeah, so I would say European Tour, Adam, you could probably chime in on this a little bit too, but it's the second largest tour in the world, and it's a lot of strong players for sure. It's tough, but it's not as deep as the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is the mecca of professional golf, and most of the best players want to play there. And European Tour purses are smaller, world ranking points are less, but it's a little bit apples to oranges. I mean, you got guys. I think if you took European Tour players and put them on the PGA Tour, a lot of times you don't see them do well. And I think if you did it vice versa, it would be the same. I mean, you're out of your element. So it's a little bit apples to oranges, but I would say that those are kind of the main differences. And I will say, I think the pandemic, unfortunately, has hurt the European Tour, and purses are going down, and they're having to cancel tournaments and things. And, that's unfortunate to see. It's a wonderful tour, and I'm sure they'll get back on their feet. But, this is a difficult time for a lot of people and organizations.
Well, with that said, we talked about the Wyndham Tour Wyndham tournament, that you got a chance to participate in. But tell us a little bit about that and other PGA tours that you participate in as you're kind of trying to break into this everyday player status, and kind of what does the future hold?
Thank you. Yeah. So I played in Europe for almost 5 years, which in hindsight might have been a little long. I probably should have tried to get myself over to the States and get into this system a little bit earlier. And 2 years ago, I did that. I played the PGA Tour Canada, which is a developmental tour to try and move your way up through the PGA Tour system. And I played that the last 2 seasons and was hoping to play it this year, but it got canceled because of COVID. So really the only opportunity you had this year were Monday qualifiers. So for every tour event, they have a qualifier that Monday that's open to anybody. And there's actually 2 qualifiers you have to go through, but I made it to the Monday at the Wyndham and, was fortunate to play really well and got in, and it was super fun. I mean, my entire extended family lives in that area, so I was able to stay with family. They weren't able to come watch because there were no fans, but it was just a great experience, and I was able to make an 8-footer on my 36th hole to make the cut, and which was great in my first tour event, and played well on Saturday, and then on Sunday I ended up making an 8 on my second hole, which was very unfortunate and kind of came out of nowhere. But minus that, I had a really good tournament, and you take that hole away, I would have had a good finish.
Did you was your 36 hole 18 at Sedgefield?
It was number 9 actually.
Okay.
That you played there?
Oh yeah, I played there quite a bit. Great golf course.
Yeah, that uphill par 4. Well, it goes down the back up, and I hit it on the back of the green. And that green, all the greens are pitched back to front.
Yep.
So I almost putted it off the green, and so it was very nerve wracking. They said it was 8. I thought it was like 25 feet when I made it, but.
Claudio, let me ask him a question.
Please,
so,
please.
Your Monday qualifier, was it at Sedgefield?
No, so we played a golf course. Oh God, what was the name of it? Not Tanglewood. It was in Winston-Salem. Bermuda Run. I'm sorry.
Oh, Bermuda Run. Yeah, another great one.
Have you played there as well?
Yep. Yeah, Bermuda Run's fantastic. So how do you, what did you shoot to qualify? Because I know those local qualifiers can be brutal because it's usually a low score to get in.
Yeah, so I shot.
How do you approach that round versus your first, second, third? Like we always hear about Tiger Woods, how he's going to make sure he makes the cut, and then he's all open, or wide open. How do you approach the qualifying round versus your Thursday, Friday round?
It's definitely a different mindset. I mean, Monday qualifiers, and at that time, typically 4 people get through a Monday qualifier, and at that time it was only 2. So I mean, we had 100 plus guys for 2 spots. So I mean, it's always a shootout, but like we knew it was going to be a shootout. And fortunately, Bermuda Run, Adam, you've played it, so it's a difficult golf course. So that helps separate people. So I knew if I shot 6 or 7 under, I'd have a chance. And I got off to a great start, and I ended up shooting 7 to get in, and I ended up winning it. I think 5 under was second, but so that ends up getting in. But to answer your question, it's very different. A Thursday start when I got in the Wyndham, granted I was, very, very nervous on the first tee, but you're just trying to get it in the fairway and keep the ball in front of you. But you have time to let things progress. Like you said, you got 36 holes instead of 18. Like job number 1, you got to make the cut. And but having said that, if you're going into it with the mindset of I want to make the cut, and you don't play great, next thing you know, you're right on the cut line. So you want to try and go into it with the intention of getting yourself in contention. And in that week, I had fortunate that I grew up with a lot of the guys that are out there. And one in particular, Dylan Fratelli, is a good friend of mine. We traveled in Europe together, and he played at Texas, but now he's won on the PGA Tour, very established. And he took me aside before the tournament started. We played practice rounds together, and he's asked me what I was thinking going into it. And I told him, and he said, I think you need to aim higher. He's like, I think you need to aim higher. And I did. And, unfortunately, I guess I wasn't quite able to get myself in contention, but I'm glad he had that conversation with me because I think it helped.
That's great. So what we see on the LPGA Tour a lot is players pulling for each other a lot. And what I think is awesome about the PGA Tour now is it's changed from when I was a kid growing up watching Faldo and Montgomery and Couples. You didn't really see that. Couples probably, but not so much from Faldo and Montgomery. And now you're starting to see it with your lookalike, Justin Thomas. You got Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler. They've even kind of brought Tiger back in the mix where they're there to congratulate each other when they're winning. They're having conversations. You're seeing people giving their competitors putting lessons on the practice screen throughout the week. Is there anybody besides Fratelli that's really helped you along the way? That's more of probably a long-term tour player that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to. I grew up playing with a lot of those guys you mentioned. I mean, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay. I mean, they all were in my basically around the same time I was in junior golf. And it's interesting. I actually reached out to Curtis Strange a few years ago, and he could not have been nicer. He was upset that I didn't go to Wake Forest, but I actually just wrote him a letter. To your point, I kind of wanted to get a mentor and someone I could kind of bounce ideas off of. And I knew we had the Virginia Beach connection. And so I just wrote him a handwritten letter. And next thing you know, my phone's calling and it's Curtis Strange. And he said, hey, why don't you come on down? At the time, I was living in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And
Right.
I lived there the last 5 years just for better weather and things. And he said, well, I'm living in Naples. Why don't you come on down, spend a couple of days with me? And I did. I mean, it couldn't have been nicer. I mean, it was super cool to get his take on things and how he approached tournaments and how he prepared and his mentality. I mean, he's mentally maybe one of the strongest people.
No, he's tough. Yeah.
So competitive. Had you come across him or his brother at all?
I haven't. Met his brother once. I've actually, it's probably been about 2 years ago, met his son, David.
Okay.
Who played with him in the father-son. Usually it's Tom, I think, plays with him, but super guy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, but I agree. I mean, golf is it's a wonderful sport. I'm obviously very biased, but it is cool, like you said, that we're able to pull for each other, because at the end of the day, you're competing against yourself at the golf course. And that's a bit of a cliche, but it really is true. I mean, you're going out there, and even if it's match play, okay, you're going to have to make decisions based on where they hit their shot, but you're still competing against yourself and trying to, and really your own mentality of staying in the moment and executing each shot, accepting it and moving on.
That's very well put. Two of the things that we talked about is the mental and the physical part of it. How are you keeping yourself in such great shape, and take us through a little bit of your regiment in the off season as we have now, and then during the season. How's that physical training look?
Yeah, so in the season, it's more maintenance, so light weightlifting, but focusing on core and flexibility, longevity, basically a lot of foam rolling, a lot of stretching, core, those types of things. And then now we got the off season, so I got a little bit more time to kind of try and ramp it up a little bit. So I'm actually doing a little bit of Olympic lifting now. Not super high weight, but I'm doing squats and cleans and rows. So I'm trying to put on a little bit of mass. It's not an easy thing to do, but a bit of a buzz topic, I think, in the game right now. You got Bryson DeChambeau put on, I don't know, Adam, you might know, 40 pounds of muscle or something.
At least, yeah.
And it's just crazy amounts of mass, and he's hitting the ball forever. And
so let me ask you that from your perspective. I've got my own opinion on it, and I'm sure everybody does. And Jordan made a comment, Jordan Spieth, in an interview, I think it was on the Golf Channel. And he reminded everybody that DeChambeau was just putting the eyes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
He is hitting a mile. I don't know. I haven't looked at his stats lately, but proximity to the hole is a big thing. It's a huge stat. But he is also, just like Jordan was, people get out on Jordan for having a slump or whatever, but Jordan also putted the eyes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
For a couple of years. So
no doubt.
How do you feel about, do you think this is a longevity thing for Bryson, or do you think there's going to be some adverse effects because of the amount of weight?
That's a great question. I'm not a doctor, so I can't fully answer that, but I will say physically, it's got to be hard on your body. I mean, just your organs. I mean, his organs were pumping blood for a guy that weighed 175 pounds, and now he's off sub 230. So I do worry a little bit about that longevity, but I'm not certain he cares. I think a lot of the younger guys are saying, man, I'm going to push this as hard as I can for 10 years, accomplish as much as I can, and then get out. Whereas I kind of grew up with a different mindset. I grew up with the mindset, man, longevity, like you can play golf well into your 30s, 40s, even later.
Like Jay Haas.
Like Jay Haas. He's made 600 cuts of the PGA Tour, some absurd number. So I don't know. It will be interesting. But the putting, to your point, is huge. I think people are underestimating Bryson's putting. And I saw a stat the other day that he made over 90% of his putts inside 10 feet this season. I want to say that might not be specific, but it's extremely high. Yeah. And, that's a good formula. Hit it far and don't miss putts inside 10 feet. I mean, that's a really good formula to have.
Well, Brinsin, if I could ask, just made some great points here. And you talked about performing in the moment, something we talk about in a number of sports. What are some of the things that you've done to maintain a high level of mental readiness and mental alertness and the ability to just make key shots when you need to? What are some of the things that you've done and do to maintain that level?
Yeah, so the mental aspect of the game is something that's always really intrigued me. And I've been fortunate to work with like a mental coach from a young age, a guy named Chris Dorr, so I've worked with for almost 20 years. And I spent some time with Bob Fratelli when I first turned pro, couple weekends with him. And so I've been very fortunate in that regard. And really what it comes down to is, like you said, being in the moment, but more than that, just interpreting things that happen in positive ways. Seeing tough things that might happen, understand that it could be fuel and it could help propel you forward. And so that's kind of been a big thing for me. But actually, like right now, I'm in the beginning of stages. Since golf's kind of taken a back burner, I'm going to start doing a little bit of like performance coaching and mental coaching. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I really think that I have some insights and things over my travels and my tournaments play that I think can help that go beyond technique. Technique is extremely important in the game, but it's very holistic. And so there's a lot that goes into playing well. And I'm excited about hopefully helping some people reach their potential.
Well, good. Just wanted to take a break in the action for some of the people who have joined. This is Sports Talk 757, hosted by Claudel Clark, Executive Director of the Sports Commission. We have with us Adam Relan and Brinsin Paolini. Excuse me, I didn't get that right the first time, but we're trying to get it right this time. Brought to you by Optima Health, Pepsi, Atlantic Bay Mortgage, the Hampton Roads Chamber, of course, Talon Bank, and just happy to have everybody back with us as this kind of reintroduction of sorts. But Adam, you wanted to kind of take it to you there at Bide-A-Wee. What led you to the game of golf, and how have you gotten to this point as a kind of a master instructor and the kind of the GM of the golf course there?
From a very, very young age, I fell in love with it. My father's parents, my grandparents, were both very accomplished players. I never got to play with my grandmother. She was older when I was coming around, but she gave me a lot of pointers. I'd putt in her living room with one of those returnable putting machines that a lot of people had back in the day. And there's a few things that I still do in my game today that she taught me when I was a very young kid. I used to stand too close to it. So she said, just like Fuzzy, why don't you reach for it, put the ball out towards the toe. So I'm giving a lesson to somebody and I'll hit a shot and they'll be like, why do you do that? And I don't even realize I'm doing it, but it's her influence on me. And I moved to DC from Mississippi when I was in fifth grade, end of fifth grade, sixth grade. And I was around at a golf facility right near my house that I could ride my bike to if I needed to. And just absolutely fell in love with it. I've always been an athlete. I played baseball, golf, wrestled, basketball. Love baseball. I was infatuated with basketball. What's funny is I'm 5'6", 147 pounds, and my dream was to play basketball at Auburn. And my parents didn't have the heart to tell me that wasn't going to happen. So, but that's where it started. And I was lucky to have a lot of really good people around me, and was a number of great PGA professionals in Northern Virginia that really kind of spurred me on.
Did you play in high school or college or anything beyond that?
Yes, I did a little bit of everything. I unfortunately, a baseball injury that happened when I was at Centerville High School in Northern Virginia, hurt my shoulder in a game against South Lakes. And I went off to Mississippi State and ended up having to take a year and a half off. So I transferred to Campbell, and I was the charter class for the PGM program there. And enjoyed every minute of both places. Met my wife there. Went on, and ever since that time in Northern Virginia, I just felt like I was going to I even told my dad at a young age, I don't remember when, that this is what I was going to do. And that's kind of how it happened.
Did you say you were in the inaugural class at PGM at Campbell?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great program. That's turned into one of the best in the country.
It has. It's turned into a fantastic program.
That's awesome.
They must have worked their kinks out.
No, you started it. It's a great golf course down there. I really enjoyed playing that golf course growing up.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And what does it mean to be a PGA pro? You give great lessons there and run the course there, and then obviously have a lot of connections on the tour. But what does that mean to have that status, Adam? And how'd you get that, and how do you maintain it?
When I was a kid, it was everything. The PGA logo, it meant everything to me. I couldn't wait to wear the badge, but it probably means more later on. I don't know about the status. There's a lot of hours. I'm fortunate. I'm in a situation where I can spend some time with family. And people, if you follow me on social media, you'll see I play all the time. I travel, but I work a lot of hours. There's a lot of late nights, knocking things out. I'm not going to say it's the dream job that a lot of kids think when they're going to get in. But if you have the passion for it, it is. Whether you're a baseball coach, whether you're a professional golfer, a club professional, if you love what you do when you get up in the morning and you're ready to go, then you hit a home run.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously you've done a lot with the youth there in Portsmouth in the community. Tell us a little bit more about how yourself and the PGA and Bide-A-Wee have affected youth golf there in Portsmouth, your city park programs and others that people may not know about. How have you made this impact on the game?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been there this July will be 7 years, and it'll sound negative, but I think we can do a lot more. I don't think enough is being done in Hampton Roads to promote. Well, I wouldn't say promote. People are busy. We're in a community. The entire area is one community, but a lot of families, both parents work. It's hard to get the kids to the golf course. It's seasonal here. A lot of kids don't want to go out today when it's 41 degrees or whatever it is. But we do camps, clinics, lessons. One of the biggest things to ever hit golf has been PGA Junior League. And I know whether you're private like Princess Anne or public like Bide-A-Wee, there's a place for PGA Junior League at every single golf course. Drive, chip, and putt's been another one. The increase amongst junior golf around the nation has just been incredible, especially coming out of the decline in 2008. Going forward, Claudel, as you know, I'm excited to, I guess, officially announce that we're going to have a large junior event, hopefully with some of the best players from neighboring states at Bide-A-Wee sometime end of spring, early summer, and we'll announce that sometime in January, hopefully on another podcast. But the kids and access to a golf course is a big part of that. And you never know who the next Brinsin's going to be, the next Tiger, the next Ricky. And we just have to get these kids access.
Good. And we talked about, the tournament is obviously going to touch golf in the region, but how do you see the state of golf for youth and then even in adults in the region? And how do you see it nationally? Obviously it's been changed a lot by things that have gone on this year, but kind of how do you see the game of golf and how do you see it moving forward?
I am super excited about golf. I told Brinsin earlier when we were talking before we came online, it's been a long year for a lot of golf pros. My hat goes off to every one of them. Maryland was shut down for a while. Virginia wasn't. And it was hard. Guys are expected to show up every day. Some staff couldn't make it. You have elderly staff that needs to protect themselves. So that was hard. The numbers are through the roof. And it's just getting better. I'm encouraged just at Bide-A-Wee with the shipyard nearby and a lot of the Navy, the sailors, people calling me like, I want to get into golf. I mean, we've probably done more rental sets this year than we have in 6 years. Junior golf it's exploding as well, but we need to do more to give them access. I think there's a new program called Doubles Golf, which is coming. The Mid-Atlantic PGA I think myself, Bide-A-Wee Williamsburg Club was part of it. Great facility. It never really took off because of COVID.
Okay.
So it's kind of like PGA Junior League for adults. There's another program for college kids that may not be on the college golfer level, but they were high school players that still want to socialize and be part of golf and still compete. So there's a lot of great things, the Mid-Atlantic PGA, PGA of America, the VSGA. We're in a good place right now, and we can't drop the ball now. We got to keep going forward.
Good. Well, on a lighter note, for us recreational golfers, what are some golf tips you guys can give us? Is it, slow your swing down? Is it turn your wrist over? Is it keep your head down longer? What are some tips that we can have virtually here? Adam, this is out of your, $200 an hour bucket.
Right.
What are some free tips we can get here?
I wish it was 200 now. And Brinsin can chime in because I'm sure he's played a number of pro-ams. I'm sure. But, a lot of people go, when I was in the golf school business with John Jacobs, it was grip, aim, stance, and posture. They called it gas for consistency. There's nothing more accurate. If you don't have solid fundamentals, it's going to lead to other issues, and it kind of snowballs or domino effect. Jordan Spieth doesn't have the best grip in the world. And Cameron McCormick's talked about that on multiple occasions. He decided to leave that the same because he was so talented. Mm-hmm. Just like Brinsin said, it's a holistic game. You got to pick and choose your battles. Basic fundamentals are huge. One of the biggest is alignment. I'm not going to name the instructor, but there was a famous instructor I sat in a seminar. I'm a golf nerd. I go to a lot of seminars. And he said the feet don't matter. And I completely disagreed. And he used Bubba Watson as an example, and I use him as well. Bubba doesn't hit it straight. Your average golfer goes to a driving range at Bide-A-Wee, Princess Anne, whatever, and they're trying to hit a perfect golf shot every single time. To hit a good, solid, straight golf shot, you have to be square. If you're not square, it's going to go crooked. So you need to rotate. You have to have a turn. I think Sam Snead said it years ago. If you don't turn, you don't eat on the PGA Tour. Grip is extremely important. Like Arnold Palmer's dad told him, don't ever change it. But you have to have the solid fundamentals. Alignment is one of the biggest. And the other thing that I see, and Brinsin can chime in, is I see too many amateur players try to hit it so hard. Mm-hmm. They overswing in the length of their golf swing. I'm 5'6", 147 pounds. I can hit it a long way. But I've learned as I've gotten older, maybe I'd be elsewhere if I would have learned to hit my sand wedge 94 instead of 104. Mm-hmm. So
great advice. That's great advice. I think solid contact is so important. Like you said, fundamentals, number one. Fundamentals, get them right. Go see your PGA pro. Got to get those down, especially early on. When you're starting the game, book a lesson with your pro and get out there and learn the fundamentals, learn to hit the center of the club face. Like you said, Adam, you're going to hit it further, hit it out of the center than if you're swinging it faster, hitting it not in the center of the face. So that's huge. And then I think just quick little tips. I'd say, don't walk past a chipping green. Like, your short game is very important. You're going to miss greens. Everybody does it. The best player on tour misses 4 greens around. So they're going to be there at their low hanging fruit. If you can get those up and down, it's just super easy. So it doesn't have to be a ton of time. It could be 10, 15 minutes before you play, hit some pitch shots, hit some bunker shots. Fundamentals are huge, and then play. I mean, to me, best way to learn the game is to play. And, looking back on my development, I think I got a little too bogged down at times about trying to be too perfect. And it's not a perfect game. You have to go play and figure out how to get the ball in the hole. I mean, Jordan Spieth, to your point, Adam, is he is unbelievable. I don't care if he's struggling right now. I mean, that guy is a wizard. He gets it in. He doesn't care what it looks like. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He's just going to get the ball in the hole faster than you, the other person. And I think that's awesome. I love that. And I wish I could be a bit more that way.
What about technology? A person, a recreational golfer especially, could have some older clubs or older technology, or even aspiring youth golfer. These things are very expensive. And then, you see a pro golfer, a college golfer, or, a PGA pro like Adam, or some of the guys who come to this club with, brand new sets. What is the difference in technology, you think, in terms of a baseball bat or the sweet spot, or these things get dented over the course of years? But, is there a big difference in technology, would you say?
I certainly think so. Adam, I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I think over the past 15 years, it's been astronomical, the change in technology. Now, the last couple of years, I don't really know. Like, if your driver's a couple years old, you can get fit. You'll probably get a few extra yards, which is great. But I don't know if it's changed that much. I will say, like, small things like make sure your grips are, people never change their grips. I mean, that's your connection to the club. Like, that's vital. Wedges. I mean, if you don't have any grooves, the ball's not going to spin because you need grooves for the ball to spin. So those little things, a fresh golf ball, playing with the same golf ball. I can't tell you. That's, Adam, I don't know about you, but the people you teach, but, I'll go out and play with whoever, and they got a different golf ball every hole. And I'm like, how are you going to get any feel when you have a different
Absolutely. Yeah, I think
they're probably losing the golf ball like I am.
I understand. I understand. But if you want to get better at the game, it's like, okay, we'll go trade all of them in and get – it doesn't have to be a great golf ball, super premium golf ball, but just play the same one all the time. I think that would really help. Yeah,
people ask me all the time. Obviously, I'm a Titleist staffer. To me, Ping, Titleist, two of the best companies out there.
Absolutely.
I won the Ping Club Pro Invitational out there in 2009.
Oh, did you really?
Where, what was it? It was where Annika shot 59. I think I shot 71 in like 30-mile-an-hour wind, and I felt like I shot 59. But the consistency and how Ping uses the same golf ball for every driver testing, for every iron testing. Titleist does it at Manchester Lane facility. And I get the question a lot, like, what's the best golf ball for you? And I tell them, obviously I'm biased and I prefer the Titleist Pro V1X or Pro V1. Yeah. And they say, well, I don't hit my driver far. Well, you only hit driver, 9-10 times around if you're smart, sometimes 14 if you just love hitting driver. Yeah. But you're hitting wedges around the green all the time, especially if you're 14 handicap. So I think the wedges are a huge aspect of it. I think it's very misunderstood with your regular players, your club pro players, or your club players and your public golf course players, that they'll pull a Callaway Chrome Soft out. 2 holes later, they're playing a Pro V1 or they're playing a Trixon. And it does have that effect just around the greens, watching the ball roll out. It leads to strokes for sure. If you're just out there for fun and you don't care what your score is, so be it. But if you're trying to score, it's a huge, huge factor.
Yeah,
we talk technology and obviously a lot of great courses in the area, our very local area, and then across the region. So, Brinsin, if we could start with you, what are some of your favorite courses in the area, and anything you recommend for us public and recreational golfers?
Yeah, I mean, Bide-A-Wee is fantastic. I love going out there to play. You'll learn how to play golf playing Bide-A-Wee. Adam will show you that for sure. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy Virginia Beach Nashville's fun. The Bay Creek courses, I think they closed one of the 9s, I heard, which is unfortunate, but they're great golf courses. I used to love going over there to play. And then I'm a little biased because I grew up playing Prince Sam, but it's fun little golf course. You can go walk around 18 holes in like 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's really short. So we need more golf like that. I don't know your thoughts, but I wish we had more places where you can go play 6 holes or 3 holes or 9 holes. That's quick. You're running out of sunlight. You want to go play a few holes with your kids, or you need to get home. To me, there needs to be more of that. Now, Lampert's Point's great out in Norfolk. I mean, it's 9 holes last that I remember. It's been a while.
Right.
But that's a great place to go and just have fun. It's got nice views. It used to be in good shape. I haven't been out there in years, but I really enjoy going out there too.
And Adam, what's your favorite course, first of all?
Well, Bide-A-Wee is up on the list. No, but you told me not to say Bide-A-Wee. I will tell you, in all of golf, I've been very blessed to play a lot of super golf courses in the country and around. Oakmont's one of my favorites. I grew up Country Club of Landfall in Wilmington, North Carolina. Quail Hollow. There's so many great ones, but what makes a good golf course for me is every hole's a little different. Like, you feel like you've gone, like, courses that are the same all the way around just kind of bore me. But in our area, in the 757, we can talk about Bayville. Prince Sam's got a lot of character. Cavalier, Lesser Georgia, a ton of great work there with new bunkers. It is short, but I think there needs to be, like I said, I'm small in stature. I can hit it a long way, but I do think golf needs to go I think they need to bring the fairways in tighter. I think the rough needs to go up for the professional level. I don't think it should just be 400 yards, flip wedge. I think if you got wedge in your hand and you're in the rough, you need to work for it. The bringing the ball back, I'm mixed on it. I think something's got to happen as a manager as well. We got to pay for all that. We got to mow. And the courses have gotten huge. When Sam Snead was coming up, I don't think people remember this, and I wasn't even alive then, but he did make some points about the future of golf courses and the designs and how expensive they were to maintain. And it's when you get a professional sport that's so much different than the public, there becomes a disconnect. And we want, there's nothing cooler to me than going to like Pinehurst No. 2 and playing where they just played the U.S. Open, or going to Oakmont. And if it's so much different than when we played it, it loses something. But in our area, I really love Williamsburg Club. Okay. I think they did a fantastic job there. Bayville, Prince Anne Cavalier, and public golf wise, Sleepy Hollow, Bide-A-Wee, another private one in the area that's had some renovation done recently is Elizabeth Manor. They're starting to get some character back. It's a good place to be. A lot of good golf in the 757.
I know, Brinsin, we wanted to have some kind of parting shots for you, or some last minute questions before we go. My thing would be, and then Adam can go after me. What's next for you? How are you going to start off this 2021 as it relates to local, international, or pro golf? What's on the radar?
Yeah, so things are a little bit up in the air, unfortunately, with COVID. In a typical year, you got developmental tours, Q School at the end of every year. It's a qualifying tournament to move up, and then Monday qualifiers. And right now, they're not really sure what developmental tours are going to happen. And, I'm hoping to go back up to Canada next summer, but they haven't made any announcements. So that's a little bit, we're not really sure, to be honest. I'm trying to keep my hand on the pulse and figure out a schedule when I can, but I'm going to work hard to keep my game sharp, and I'll take some trips south to play in some smaller things and for some qualifiers and get myself going on the season.
Gotcha. Adam.
So technology wise, do you use TrackMan Flight Scope?
I don't have one, and I wish I did, but and my coach doesn't really use one either. We will if we really need to, but the ball flight will kind of tell you what you need. But they're wonderful tools. I think they're amazing for fitting. I think they're almost vital for fitting. But I don't use one regularly. But they're great tools.
I do have a TrackMan. You're more than welcome to come by Bide-A-Wee anytime.
Thank you.
I will say, though, I agree. I think they can be overused. I think when they came out, people became obsessed with them. And a lot of your young professionals would just stick their head in them, and they never watched the ball flight.
Yeah.
And ball flight, especially where my upbringing, is huge. But I was just curious to see. I think sometimes tour players, all players, can chase numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If I put you on TrackMan and you were hitting drivers and it was 285 and you're chasing 286, 290, what's that really doing?
Exactly. Next thing you know, I'm hitting it off or yeah.
So when you anything other than TrackMan, have you used any footwork? Swing catalyst.
Yeah, I have. It's super interesting to me. I think the hard thing, the more we've learned about it, like it came out, it's strange because I grew up kind of in the video age, and then it kind of came out, and then the swing catalyst and 3D and all this other technology. And when I would get on those things, it was strange because at first on swing catalyst, they would say, these are the numbers you have to see. We need our pressure. It tells you where your pressure is in your feet. And then over the years, now they're like, we don't really know because everybody has their own trace. Like everybody's different and we're not really sure who's right or wrong. Like when I first got on it, I had a big backup in my trace. My trace wouldn't go forward. It would back up. And I had this guy and he was like, this is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. Like you can't play good golf with a backup. And it really got in my head and I tried to fix it. And now they're like, oh, lots of people back up. Bubba Watson backs up a ton. So it's hard to really understand what's right and wrong. I think if you know how to use those tools, they're amazing. 3D is one thing I've only been on once. And I think that could be super cool. The swing catalyst stuff, body track, I'm a little confused about. So.
Yeah, I think it's cool information that kind of wows the student in front of you. But my opinion is, if we have a goal in mind, we need tools that are going to help us achieve that goal, and it may be body track or catalyst. I think Kuchar's another one that, he's on his back foot the whole time through his golf swing.
Yeah, he never gets to his left side.
Yeah. He's won a lot of money.
He has been a ton of money, man. Holy heck. Yeah, he's an ATM out there for sure.
Yep.
But gentlemen, we appreciate this time. Brinsin, Adam, just great insight. We could continue to go on, because we love the game, and just so much to talk about it. Again, Brinsin, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And another year of uncertainty, but again, played some really good golf, here and internationally. Coming out of a great golf area, and I just certainly wish you the best. Want to stay in contact with you. Want to track your progress, and certainly as we mentioned earlier, want your input and advice and steering as we go into this VGS qualifier. Adam, tremendous job continuously with Bide-A-Wee. Had a number of tournaments there, and obviously you guys host hundreds of tournaments per year. Great job, what you're doing there, and with the game of golf in Portsmouth. And I just can't thank you enough for what you do in the community and then being here with us today. This kind of closes out the 2020 for Sports Talk 757, our last episode, our 10th episode. Hitting it off with a great note here. We'll open up January on January 7th with Michael Kadire, former MLB star and Chesapeake standout, and still works with the Twins, so still doing a lot of great job, or still doing a very good job in the community there. We had Adam Relan today, Brinsin Paolini, and our sponsors, Pepsi, Optima, Town Bank, Atlantic Bay Mortgage, CHKD Sports Medicine. We appreciate those great partners helping us make this happen. We wish everybody to stay safe, wish everybody that they have happy holidays. And gentlemen, please continue with the great work that you do, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.